Okay, so today in this blog video, I decided to do a video just because with what I'm talking about, it's just easier than typing. Um, I today want to talk about how I personally have changed as a person and how this whole experience with Isla's death has changed me. But I also want to discuss too, like with Colton and how it's changed him. Just basically like our lives these past 7 months and, how our life has been and things like that. So basically, losing a child, let's just start off with saying losing a child is something that changes you forever. And it's one of those things to where you feel exhausted almost. Like I can honestly say dealing with Isla's death has been, of course, devastating, but it's like emotionally exhausting for me because it's like I miss her so much that sometimes I'll like talk about it and it's like I don't even want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to talk about it because I'm exhausted and I'm tired of talking about it, not because I don't miss her or I don't love her, but because it's tiring. It's exhausting missing your child so much and there's nothing you can do. I think a lot of moms can agree with me on that, and it's just literally like that's the one thing is angel mom journey, it's exhausting. Angel dad journey is exhausting. A lot of people don't realize dads suffer just as much, sometimes even if not worse, as the mom. Colton never got the chance to really bond with Isla like I was able to, and that's devastating for me. He never got the chance to feel her move 24/7, feel her grow. He wasn't pregnant. He didn't get to experience all that. He got to experience feeling her kick for the first time, putting his hand on my belly and whatnot, but he never really got to have that bond, and that's hard. And that's something I don't want to speak for fathers who've been through this, but I feel like that's probably something a lot of them struggle with, I could imagine. Whereas for like me as a mom, I got to experience all of that, and it's hard experiencing all of that, and then all of a sudden it's gone. Losing Isla has changed me, and some of the changes have really been hard. I'm fully open. I go to therapy. Try to go every week, but with my new job, I just go twice a month. I have to go. If I don't go, I would probably lose it. That's one of the first things I said after Isla died was, I need to go to therapy. I can't go through all of this and not go to therapy. Mainly because I didn't realize I suffered from PTSD from everything. I didn't even, this is probably stupid, but when I thought PTSD, I thought like military experience and things like that. Like I never even realized like giving birth and like that can give you PTSD. And so it, like when my therapist told me like, hey, I was explaining to her how I was feeling. She was like, you definitely suffer from that. And it just like all clicked, like, holy crap, she's right. I do suffer from that. Not only that, but I have sometimes they call them triggers, to where certain things will trigger my PTSD and my feelings and how I'm feeling. And when that happens, it's so much emotions that I need to stop saying literally, but I literally feel like I'm going to break down with, I can't even explain it. What happens is, for example, I will just kind of like freak out. I'll usually call Colton or text him and say, hey, like, I don't know what to do. I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling that way. And it's hard. And I notice now too, like I struggle with change. That's a main thing. And I am not one. Like if you know me, you know, like, especially like before all of this happened, if you knew me, you knew that I am one who is extremely independent. I have always done everything on my own. I have a very, very high expectations for myself, and I still do. But what I'm getting at is I have always been one to never struggle with change. I'm like, let's do it, let's change, you know, those types of things. But now I struggle with it really, really bad. And for example, I recently started a new job about 2 months ago, and I absolutely love my job. It's great. It's stressful, but it's awesome. But I struggled at first with getting a new job. And it was mainly because my old job, of course, they knew what happened, of course. I mean, I was there the whole time I was pregnant and everything, and my coworkers were just phenomenal. They were amazing, and they were a huge support system. And it was like, I would say, like my security blanket of friends. Like if I was having a bad day or whatever, they knew why, and it was comforting. And then, you know, getting a new job, that was my first major change since losing Isla, and I struggled really bad. I still sometimes have days where I struggle, where I'm like driving to work and I just have this whirlwind of emotions take over me, and I have a panic attack, and I'm like, I can't do this. What am I doing? And it's really hard to accept that, because that's not me at all. It never used to be, at least, and now it is. And it's hard for me to accept that. And like living in this apartment, me and Colton want to move out, but I know I'm going to have a really hard time leaving this place, because I mean, clearly, I don't know if you can see Isla's urn is back there, but you know, this is where I was pregnant. This is where we brought home all of Isla's things. This is where we set up all her stuff. This is where we went through everything. And it's almost like Isla's here with us. This is her home, and this was her first home. Even though she's not here, this was her first home. And leaving here, I know I'm probably going to have a really hard time, because it's like I'm going to be leaving a part of Isla, I guess you could say. I don't know. But what I'm getting at is just change has been really hard for me, and that's not like me at all, and it is now. But it's also too, like, I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, why is she still talking about this? You know, like, move on, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you can't, you know, think about it all the time or forever, you gotta move on from it. But honestly, what I have to say to people that say that, because I know there's people that say that. I know people I know and are close to have said that, and they just haven't said it to my face, but I know because I hear things. And all I can say is, unless you have a child yourself, or you have lost a child, then you have absolutely no idea what I am going through or what Colton's going through. Because if you have a child, then you know that strong bond and that love you have for them, and you couldn't imagine your life without them. You know what it's like to have that bond. And if you've lost a child, then you know what it's like to go through that horrific experience of losing your entire world in a matter of minutes. And you know what it's like to have just this almost like just huge wave of emotions completely take over you, and just not just be, you know, you have no words, you know. And if you don't have a child, then yeah, of course you can't imagine, but you can't relate. You really don't know. I mean, That's my opinion, at least. Not a lot of people could probably disagree, but that's just how I feel. And so, I mean, it's just, this is my way of grieving. It helps me to talk about it, and that's how I feel. But not only that, I just don't, I mean, I don't want my daughter to be forgotten. Because if she was here, she wouldn't be. So if she's not here, why should that change? Why should that change? I don't think it should. And, you know, even when the time comes that me and Colton have another child, it still won't change. I'll still talk about Isla. If people ask me how many kids I have, I'll say 2. Even if people ask me now how many kids I have, I say 1. And of course, then I have to get into explaining it, and it sucks, but I'm not going to say I don't have any kids, because for me personally, I just couldn't do that. I don't think there's any problem, because I know some moms who have a hard time, some of them have a hard time like acknowledging their child they've lost, which is totally fine, because everybody deals with it differently, and no matter the way you deal with it, in the end, all of us are hurting. You know, all of us are hurting, no matter if you acknowledge or if you don't. We're all hurting. We're all just hurting in different ways. Sometimes some of them are the same ways. And so you know, it's almost too like when you do acknowledge your child, sometimes you feel like an idiot talking about them. I mean, for me personally, I sometimes do, because I mean, I can't relate to all moms. You know, like I can't say like, oh, I'm having a hard time breastfeeding, what do I do? You know, I can't relate to that. And that's something that's hard, but it's just something I've had to accept. I can relate to, luckily, a lot of moms. Like, I'm a part of a group on Facebook who, there's over 1,200 of us who have lost our babies in only the 3rd trimester. That's a lot of women. And I can relate to them. And let me just say, that support group of women, they have been nothing short of amazing for me. They have helped me so much, and I have made some amazing friends in that group, and they are like my people. They're who I talk to all the time. And it's nice knowing you're not alone, because when this happens to you, you feel alone. I still feel alone sometimes, and it's hard because it's just one of those things you never think is going to happen to you, and then when it does, you're like, what in the hell? This is not supposed to happen to me. I even sometimes now, like, will get random moments like, this is really my life. This is really happening. Like, my daughter is really up in a box on a shelf right now. Like, and sometimes I'll just laugh because I'm like, what in the hell? This isn't my life. This isn't happening. Like, it's like I'm in denial. And sometimes I feel crazy because I just don't want to accept it. But that's just part of the grieving journey, I guess. And it's hard to accept, but I don't think you ever fully accept it. You just have to accept it because you have no choice. And so it's just like, it's just a shock for like those first few months after everything happened. I was in a dark, dark place. I was in a very dark place. I didn't care to really do anything. And I know Colton felt the same way. And I would go to sleep and just be so happy to be asleep. And then I'd wake up and be like, oh my God, this is happening. And I woke up into a nightmare, and it was awful. And thank God for my mom and grandma being here every day, or else Lord only knows what would have happened to me and Colton. We probably wouldn't be live right now because they were over here cleaning, cooking, making sure we had groceries, making sure we were fed, making sure Bogey was taken care of. And, they were amazing. And that was really helpful because with my C-section, I was in a lot of pain after, and I recovered pretty well, but it was really painful. And between that and the grieving and just everything. It was just so much for me to handle. I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't care for anything. I just wanted to stay in bed and cry and sleep. And a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot of people, but I know some people say they felt suicidal after. I don't want to say I necessarily felt suicidal. I don't know. Because suicide is a thing that you don't joke about that. So that's, I don't want to say I necessarily felt suicidal, but I didn't want to live. I never would say I would have harmed myself, but I didn't want to live. Even to this day, I don't say I don't want to live, but it's like I feel comfortable with, I don't want to say I feel comfortable with the thought of death, but I've accepted that death can happen. And death, of course, is something that can be scary. Most people are terrified of it, but I'm not now. I am not scared of it. It's just something that'll happen when it happens. And if it happens, then okay. I'm not saying I would hurt myself. I wouldn't do that. But it's just your child's in heaven. That's where you want to be too. And, but after those first couple months, if I would have died, I would have been satisfied those first few months because I just wanted to be with Isla so bad. I know that's probably hard for, my parents to hear that I felt that way then, but I'm pretty sure they knew. And it's, I don't want to cry. It's hard to talk about because you really don't know what to say because you don't want to say that you want to die because you don't, but you want to be with your child. And you, as a parent, you do anything for your children. And to this day, I still tell Colton, I wish it was me instead of Isla. Every day, I wish it was me instead of her. Because she was just an innocent baby who didn't deserve to pass away, and she did. And I know after it all happened, Colton thought it was me that had passed, not her. And I mean, my mom's told me how devastated and just how he looked. And every time she tells me that, all I can think is, I wish it was me. I wish it would have been me because I'm 24 years old. I know I'm still young, but I've lived 24 years. And if it had to be me or her, it should have been me. And I know a lot of moms, every mom probably feels that way who's been through this. We all wish our babies could have lived instead of us. But I think that's just a natural thing to feel as a parent because your parents are not supposed to bury their kids. No matter how old your children are, you're not supposed to bury them. Parents should never outlive their children. Should be the other way around. And I remember planning Isla's funeral and just thinking, what am I doing? Like, am I really planning my daughter's funeral right now? And I don't know. It's just a lot of emotions. As you can see, I'm trying to stay on track with this video, but it's hard because there's literally so much to talk about. I could go on for hours. I have gone on for hours. One of my very good friends, me and her meet for coffee, and we sit and talk about our angel babies for hours at a time. And it's just because it feels good to talk about it. But, I mean, I don't know. This whole journey for me and Colton has just been a whirlwind. And me and Colton have had hard times, really, really hard times. But, we get through it, and we have our friends and family to thank for that. I can honestly say that my parents, especially my mom. I'm not saying my dad hasn't helped me, because my dad has helped me, but you guys know how it is. Dads and moms are different. That's just how life is. And there's nothing wrong with that, because in the end, I love my parents so much I can't even explain. But, you know, my mom has just been great. And I think it's just because now, you know, we're both moms, so we can, like, relate to things. But I don't know. I would be lost without my mom right now. She has helped me so much. Both my parents have helped me so much in different ways. My dad has helped me in a way to remind me that I'm strong and I can do whatever I want, and he pushed me to do things that I never think I would do, and he reminds me that I can do whatever I want and to make sure that I'm happy. And my dad has always been just great with that ever since I was little. And now with everything, he's still just like that, and it's so nice to have somebody to remind me of all those things. And my mom has just been a godsend. Like, I've always, if you know me, you know I've always been super close with my parents, but especially now I'm even more close. Even with, like, my mom, me and her are just, we talk every single day. And I know a lot of my friends are like that with their moms too. But especially now, like, my mom hurts for me, and I feel like me and her have changed, mainly because my mom was there when this all happened. For those of you that don't know, my mom is a nurse, and she was a labor and delivery nurse for years, like 12 plus years, I think. I don't know. So her being there and witnessing, like, my mom witnessed Isla's heartbeat disappear. My mom ran over and said, "Jamie, turn on your side now," and tried to find Isla's heartbeat. My mom witnessed that. And I think that I couldn't imagine being a labor and delivery nurse, watching your daughter and your granddaughter, watching your daughter go through that and your granddaughter die right before your eyes, like, and not being able to do anything. That would be hard. And I know my mom struggles with that. And I think that's why, I mean, like I said, me and both of my parents are close, and we are close in our own ways. But I think that's why me and my mom grew so much closer than we were before, which is crazy to say because I've always been close with my mom. But because of that, she was there. And I think Colton can agree too. She's just been a lifesaver for us. But, yeah, so it's just, especially, like, you know, I have a fear of losing people I love, and it's scary. Every day now, I am always just terrified something's gonna happen, like to Colton, or to my mom, or to my dad, or to my brothers, or my sisters, or, you know, and my family's dealt with so much death lately, and it sucks. Like, 2 months before Isla died, my great-grandpa passed away, and my great-grandpa, I've always been super close with him, and that was really, really hard. With my grandpa passing, and then me having Isla and her passing, and then after that, my grandma was diagnosed with cancer. She's doing great though, but that was hard. And then just recently, my uncle passed away. It's just like, literally, when it rains, it pours. And it's, excuse my language, but it's shitty. So it's just, a lot has been happening, and it's hard to deal with. And I'm waiting for the day that things start looking up, because let me just say, things haven't been looking up in quite some time. And yeah. So I know this video is kind of all over the place, so I apologize. But it was kind of just more, I don't want to say it was like a venting session, but just kind of to hear actually in words how I was feeling, and, you know, how life's been. But I just want to thank you all for taking time to like read my blog and watching this video and whatnot. It really means a lot because I love writing and things like that. If you know me, I love it. And so having this blog has been super helpful. So yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody. And I'm sure I'll do another video posts in the future. So yeah, so just keep an eye out for that. And thank you for everything. And thanks again to everybody who's reached out to me and my family. It really does mean a lot.